Next up on our list, we have the action thriller Red, based on the graphic DC comic book novel. And it stars Bruce Willis, Helen Mirren, Morgan Freeman, and John Malkovich. A lot of old people you like, but one word that rhymes with red is dead, which is what this film is. Here with there's not really anything about the old elements, just like they're old is funny, isn't it? Yeah. Well, it relies on that too heavily, and the script cannot support any of the humor that is in this movie. It's not that any of the performances are bad. It's just like they have their quirks. You got Morgan Freeman, who doesn't love Morgan Freeman. John Malkovich is good. Bruce Willis is kind of riding the leading man train, and Helen Mirren is trying to be the sly old woman, killer on the inside, and that's all fine and dandy. But there's nothing that happens in this either.
This is off the books. Total blackout.
Just made them the agency's top targets.
Aside from a couple inspired action sequences and some witty banter here and there, and some really random and quirky humor, which I was liking, there's just not enough of that in Red. It's just, Red seems like a film trying to be the serious, logical film, when I really just wanted it to be some mindless entertainment, like Death Race or Crank. Not necessarily on that mean-spirited level, but just on a level that we could have fun with. It didn't have fun with it. It is a skip it for me. It just isn't enough.
You know,
it isn't enough.
Yeah, I completely agree. Skip
Yes.
it for me too.
Yeah.
You call it dead. I call it bad. B-A-D. Banal and dull. Like it just, we were talking about Aaron Johnson and Kick-Ass. The thing about Kick-Ass, it was kind of the opposite film, but it was about, okay, we're going to give the heroes, make them young, make how funny and over the top that's going to be. And then we come along with kind of the opposite premise, but it's elderly, and how funny is that going to get? And the film is not over the top. It just kind of sits there, and I feel like all the actors are just kind of spinning their wheels, and like nothing's really happening. And I don't think it's Robert Schwenke's fault. He directed The Time Traveler's Wife, but Flight Plan was, I thought was happy. I thought it was smart in areas and entertaining. But here, I don't think he's the problem. Like, he has an energy.
He does.
But then you get the script written by John and Eric Holber, who did The Atrocity that was, Whiteout. And it just feels you have a director who's trying to create an energy and a script that doesn't feel like it's supporting anything. And when those clash together, that's like detrimental. So ultimately, it feels like the 18 with arthritis.
Like there was a couple of really interesting action sequences where the guy throws a grenade at him and he hits it back with the gun. It's so cartoonish and outrageous, and I was like, that was fantastic. This is what this movie should be riding on. Ride on the cartoonishness and over the topness of these characters. And the script just tries to make something so logical and it muddles everything down to nothing.
It's confusing
it's dull.
because you got John McClane, you got God, you got the Queen, you got being John Malkovich or whatever you want to say.
Exactly.
And it's like nothing.
They call me highwayman, but I'm a country boy. I got a gun in my pocket, and I want to have a lot of fun.
And alas, another crime film. Wow. This one's a 4-hour French film called Mesrine, or should I say Meyrine, that's how he likes it. It's based on a famous gangster, Jacques Meyrine, played by Vincent Cassel. You're going to see him later in Black Swan. Mesrine is divided into 2 parts. First one is Killer Instinct, and the second part is Public Enemy No. 1. And they're both different, but I like the second one more. The first one feels, the first half of the first one feels a little empty, arid, and kind of pointless. And then when you get to the prison scenes, when he's breaking out, it feels empty, arid, and, well, fun. So you're into that. Public Enemy No. 1 comes out, you really get a sense of the character, and now you can really understand Meyrine because he's such an enigmatic character, which Vincent Cassel plays really well because he kind of perforates the caricatures and understands that enigma, so that was really fascinating. Public Enemy No. 1 comes out, you really get a sense of the character, and now you can really understand Meyrine because he's such an enigmatic character, which Vincent Cassel plays really well because he kind of perforates the caricatures and understands that enigma, so that was really fascinating. But the film is kind of dopey, it's kind of sloppy, it's not taut, it's not emotionally attached at all, it's very distant. But there is a vulnerability in the character because he gets hit with bullets. This is basically a character who calls all his shots. He knew when he was going to die. He said in an interview, I'm going to get shot by police. Why? Because that's just natural. This man basically dictated his life. He broke out of 4 prisons, and he killed up to 40 people. He confessed in an autobiography, which ultimately sent him to prison once again. So this is a character, he has kind of this cockiness to him, but also this like kind of insane interest and like fascination, and just you really want to follow this character. The film was really fun, and even for 4 hours and divided into 2 parts, you're never really bored by this film. It's really cool. I mean, it's kind of messy, and it's kind of like, wow, I really want to kind of get into this film. But I'm saying see it because Vince Cassel, what a performance, and
Yeah.
it's a good action movie, you know.
It's a fantastic performance, and it's a very good movie. I think I give it a bit bigger see it than you, but I also give
Okay.
it a see it. It seems to be a show of enigmatic characters we have today. We had Aaron
Yeah,
Johnson,
yeah,
Nora
yeah.
Boy, now we have Vincent Cassel here in Mary.
And Johnny Knoxville and Jackass.
There you go. Oh, yes, a very enigmatic character. Yeah, we see he's fascinated by these enigmatic characters just because they're so fascinating to watch on screen and watch the script, try to make them come out, and watch them do stuff with the script.
Yeah.
And here, I think the reason why this film isn't up to the greatness that we've seen before is because there's too high standards for this type of
It's-
movie. This film has a level of fun, though, that cannot be denied. I was having a ball watching this guy escape from prison, be cocky, snap the one-liners, bed the women. It's just, he's almost James Bond, but he's a real character because he gets shot with bullets.
Qu'est-ce qu'on fait, Jacques?
Regarde. Terminus, bébé. Je t'arrête.
Well, like what you mentioned, there's almost like a conventional expectation for crime films now. Like there needs to be like this causal narrative where like the rise and the fall, and you do get that, but it's kind of just it's almost like a run. The whole running joke is that this guy knows he's gonna die.
Yeah,
But he's fighting for this freedom while he still lives, and but yet he's not because he's like killing people and just. And there's this like irony going on with the character, but Vincent Cassel just nails it. 'Cause he's funny, he's really violent, and he's really also very interesting, and that's important.
Yeah, but I really like the direction by Jean-François Richaud, who he like captures how this character, he's sort of just this cocky attitude. Like, remember he walks into a bank and is like, oh well, here, let's rob the other bank, like right across the street, and they just run across the street before the cops get there, rob another bank, and then leave. Like it's almost like he doesn't care what happens to him. He just sort of wants to rob banks for the sake of robbing banks. It's really interesting.
The plot for me just rushes along way too quickly, whereas The Prophet was, it took its time, and it was like 2.5 hours or whatever The Prophet was, but it really was deep. It got into that, and it was so realistic. And I don't know with the film if exactly it's supposed to be realistic, but it's almost like the guy lived an unrealistic life. I mean, he broke out of 4 prisons, like who would thunk it, you know? So it is good in that sense. And Vincent Cassel really runs it, and it's entertaining, but just not, like you said, there's a big standard for crime films, and it's not quite above it, but it's still good.
In any case, I think the French have got the crime film nailed down. So they've got the formula, they've got the actors, they've got the direction. I think we should, let's bring out another French crime film. Why not? Let's see how it stands up to these two this year, you know?
Trend, yeah.